High. The highest level or number. For example, to reach a high.
Immigration. The process of coming to live permanently in a different country from the one you were born in, the number of people who do this. For example, legal/illegal immigration.
Import.
Import. To bring a product, a service, an idea, etc. into one country from another. For example, import something.
Increase.
Increase. A rise in the amount, number, or value of something. For example, price a tax or wage increases.
Inequality. The unfair difference between groups of people in society, when some have more wealth, status, or opportunities than others. For example, we need to tackle inequality of opportunity wherever we find it.
Landscape. Everything you can see when you look across a large area of land, especially in the country. For example, the woods and fields that are typical features of the English landscape.
Large. Big in size or quantity. For example, a large group, city, area, crowd, a family.
Length.
Length. The size or measurement of something from one end to the other. For example, measure the length of the line from A to B. Less. Used with uncountable nouns to mean a smaller amount of. For example, less something. Less. Used with uncountable nouns to mean a smaller amount of. For example, less something.
Litre. A unit for measuring volume, equal to 1.76 British pints or 2.11 American pints. For example, 3 litres of water.
Little.
Little. Used with uncountable nouns to mean a small amount, some. For example, a little milk/sugar/tea.
Little.
Little. Used with uncountable nouns to mean a small amount, some. For example, a little milk/sugar/tea.
Load. To put a large quantity of things or people onto or into something. For example, load something.
Lot. A large number or amount. For example, how many do you need? A lot.
Mass. Affecting or involving a large number of people or things. For example, the world faces the tremendous problem of mass unemployment.
Massacre. The killing of a large number of people, especially in a cruel way. For example, the bloody massacre of innocent civilians.
Mathematical.
Mathematical. Connected with or involving mathematics. For example, mathematical calculations or problems or models.
Mathematics.
Mathematics. The science of numbers and shapes. Branches of mathematics include arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and trigonometry. For example, the school mathematics curriculum. Measure. To find the size, quantity, etc. of something in standard units. For example, measure something a somebody.
Measurement.
Measurement. The act or the process of finding the size, quantity, or degree of something. For example, the metric system of measurement. Mile. A unit for measuring distance equal to 1/609 meters or 1/760 yards. For example, a 20-mile drive to work.
More. Used with plural nouns and verbs, especially in negative sentences or in more formal English, to mean a large number of. Also used in questions to ask about the size of a number, and with as, so and to. For example, we don't have very many copies left.
Most. Used with plural nouns and verbs, especially in negative sentences or in more formal English, to mean a large number of. Also used in questions to ask about the size of a number, and with as, so and to. For example, we don't have very many copies left.
Naval. Connected with the navy of a country. For example, a naval base or officer of battle.
Normal. The usual or average state, level or standard. For example, above, below normal.
Number.
Number. A word or symbol that represents an amount or a quantity. For example, think of a number and multiply it by 2.
Numerous.
Numerous. Existing in large numbers. For example, he has been late on numerous occasions.
1. Used to avoid repeating a noun, when you are referring to somebody, something that has already been mentioned, or that the person you are speaking to knows about. For example, I'd like an ice cream. Are you having one? 1. Used to avoid repeating a noun, when you are referring to somebody, something that has already been mentioned, or that the person you are speaking to knows about. For example, I'd like an ice cream. Are you having one?
Overall.
Overall. Including everything or everyone, in total. For example, the company will invest $1.6 million overall in new equipment. Peace. A situation or a period of time in which there is no war or violence in a country or an area. For example, world peace.
Percentage.
Percentage. The number, amount, or rate of something, expressed as if it is part of a total that is 100, a part or share of a whole. For example, percentage of something somebody.
Plus. Used to add more information. For example, I've got too much on at work. Plus my father is not well.
Population. All the people who live in a particular area, city, or country, the total number of people who live there. For example, 1/3 of the world's population consume 2/3 of the world's resources.
Quantity.
Quantity. An amount or a number of something. For example, quantity of something.
Rate. A measurement of the speed at which something happens. For example, rate of something.
Relation. The way in which two people, groups, or countries behave towards each other or deal with each other. For example, diplomatic/international/foreign relations.
Revolution.
Revolution. An attempt by a large number of people to change the government of a country, especially by violent action. For example, a socialist revolution.
Rise. An increase in an amount, a number, or a level. For example, the industry is feeling the effects of recent price rises.
Royal. Connected with or belonging to the king or queen of a country. For example, the royal family.
Rule. To control and have authority over a country, a group of people, etc. For example, rule something. Rural. Connected with or like the countryside. For example, rural areas.
Sample. A number of people or things taken from a larger group and used in tests to provide information about the group. For example, the interviews were given to a random sample of students.
Security.
Security. The activities involved in protecting a country, building, or person against attack, danger, etc. For example, national/homeland security equals the defense of a country. Selective. Affecting or involving only a small number of people or things from a larger group. For example, the selective breeding of cattle.
Settler. A person who goes to live in a new country or region. For example, most of the settlers came from England.
Some. Used with uncountable nouns or plural countable nouns to mean an amount of or a number of when the amount or number is not given. For example, there is some milk in the fridge. Some. Used with uncountable nouns or plural countable nouns to mean an amount of or a number of when the amount or number is not given. For example, there is some milk in the fridge.
Specify.
Specify. To state something, especially by giving an exact measurement, time, exact instructions, etc. For example, specify something.
Spy. To collect secret information about another country, organization, or person. For example, he spied for his government for more than 10 years. Square. Having four straight equal sides and four angles of 90 degrees. For example, a square room.
Ton. A unit for measuring weight, equal to 1,000 kilograms. For example, a record grain harvest of 236 tons.
Total.
Total. Being the amount or number after everyone or everything is counted or added together. For example, their total cost was $18,000.
Total.
Total. Being the amount or number after everyone or everything is counted or added together. For example, their total cost was $18,000.
Totally. Completely. For example, they come from totally different cultures.
Variable.
Variable. A situation, number or quantity that can vary or be varied. For example, with so many variables.
Village. A very small town located in a country area. For example, we visited towns and villages all over Spain.
War. A situation in which two or more countries or groups of people fight against each other over a period of time. For example, the Second World War.
Width.
Width. The measurement from one side of something to the other, how wide something is. For example, the terrace runs the full width of the house.